Here you are now, lost and wanting to do something in your life. For years on end, you have been caught in a cycle of trying to fit in through the use of alcohol, drugs, and partying, trying to do anything that will fulfill your pleasures. Through getting lost in video games, or maybe both. But as these years come by, you really have started thinking for yourself that this is not the life you want. Maybe you start to realize that you're disappointed in yourself and you expect better. You want what all these guys on the self-improvement manosphere have. You want the attraction woman, you want to be buff, and you want to have that money that they have. But how do you get all of this? I was just like this growing up. I was just a kid with ADHD. Felt different to everyone. I got caught in indulging in pleasures by playing video games in my early years. I did not know what I wanted to do with my life, so I decided to get into the military and become a Marine. Now, that didn't last forever. That is why I am in front of you now. But we didn't go from being in the military to being here. No, there is something in between, sandwiched in between these two moments of my life. This is when my lack of clarity of what I wanted to do in my life hit in. I started to get addicted to drugs, even Percocets. I was lost for such a long time. I made my family suffer for my actions, let alone myself. So what got me here now? It was doing a habit while I was at my lowest, day in and day out. What was the habit, you ask? It was getting into the gym. You will see how impactful the repetitions of habits are in this video. We have to first address the elephant in the room, that although you may not be asking out loud per se, you're internally thinking how long it could take for you to get to all of these spots that you want to be in life. Now, if you are what I described earlier, you know, the one who wanted to fit in and indulge in pleasures, this might be the hardest pill to swallow for you. Look, to beat around the bush, it'll take you several years to be like those guys. Hell, I'm not even all the way there yet, right? This is the tough reality you must face. The whole theme of this video is to make small progress every day. Once again, this is up to you now. Are you willing to accept feeling like you aren't making any progress for months and maybe even a little over a year? Or two, up until you reach the point where you make enough progress to reach the point where all these other people are that you look up to? I don't know. Only you do. This may have made you take a step back a bit, but I suggest you keep watching before you make up your mind that this is not worth it. Because this is not as bad as you actually think it is. Right? So how do we go about this? First of all, you need to start picking up certain habits that you need to repeat day in and day out. Now let us start simple here. What is a habit? A habit is a behavior performed regularly, practically automatic. Now, as we will get into in some time from this video, we will also get into how this could be applied in a negative context. A negative context you're actually familiar with. But for now, let us focus on what the bulk of this video is going to be centered around. Good habits. Now, before we get into on how to perform these good habits, when to do them, how to be consistent with them, how to do this, how to do that, blah, 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 blah. Let us get into the core habits you need to be repeating. The core habits you want to be repeating is weightlifting, journaling, reading, making money. Now, chances are you're probably against one or two of these core habits. So I'll explain what each of these 4 core habits can do for you. Lifting weights is probably one that you do not object to. The benefits are endless. Your health goes up, your mental health clarity goes up when you feel good for exercising, and your physical attractiveness goes up. You get a major portion of what appeals attraction from the opposite gender. When you think of self-improvement, the first thing that comes into your mind is lifting weights. Speaking of things what we think about when we're talking about self-improvement, we cannot forget the second habit, making money. Now, this is subjective. You don't actually physically have to be making money at the end of putting in some input towards earning income towards the day. This is why you could actually connect reading with making money at times. Sometimes learning something about how to make your business better, learning how to advance your abilities online or a skill in person, learning how to advance your career through online materials like videos or courses, taking real life lectures to advance your career. These all count as making a pursuit towards money. It's a cliche, but time is money. The time you're putting into learning about bettering yourself and something that ultimately makes you money or will make you money down the line is the pursuing of wealth and making money. But of course, with making money, this can be putting heavy priority in your job, business, skill, whatever as well. Now getting into the 2. I know your ass is just bickering. Grow up already if this is you, man. Reading, as we mentioned, reading can also help you make money. But also if you're reading self-improvement books, you have a chance to learn from dozens of people who have succeeded on self-improvement and made big mistakes on the way. This should be making bells ring like crazy in your head. You have the chance to not make the same mistakes these successful people have made. You get to follow the common quote. Smart people learn from their mistakes, and wise people learn from the mistakes of others. Not to mention, if you like the stuff that I am saying, so far most of this stuff actually came from a book called Atomic Habits. Last one, journaling. Isn't this something just for girls? I mean, if you think Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Edison, Mark Twain, and so on were just random people, then go ahead and think that to yourself. Seriously, this is a game changer. I've mentioned this in a video before, but I was not journaling during my time as a Percocet addict. But I wish I did. Now I do know someone that journals, and they have been journaling for a long time. And he is actually the reason why you see some of these funny pop-ups and crazy edits. Because this someone is my editor, Kuba. Journaling is something that can strengthen your mind. Journaling will help you gather the solutions to your problems you are facing. I can't explain it, but it is genuinely insane. I have a full video on journaling, which I will leave in the description as well. See, instead of opening up to people about your mental struggles, you can open up to yourself and make solutions. Because when we open up, it's a bunch of wishy and washy bullshit. You say how you feel, and the person says everything will be alright. I'll be there for you. All that nonsense, which is not really the solution to your problem. No problems are meant to be solved if you have no control over them. If you have no control over them, you have the obligation to mitigate the effect as much as possible. This will not be done talking to a person unless you're super close to them and they think just like this. More often than not, you're not going to have this friend. This is why you need to instead open up to yourself on that paper with a pen. Okay, that was a lot to take in. Let us have a breather for a second. But yeah, these core habits will have a profound effect on you. Make sure you're making the small stuff a habit too. Always make your bed, always clean your room, always get a good amount of water in. The list is endless. So what is the ideology of these repeated habits working? As I said, this video is based on many components of the book Atomic Habits. So let us look at the analogy the author James Clear made. Say you put an ice cube in front of you in a cold room, and every minute or so, the room begins to heat up a bit. 26 degrees, 27 degrees, 28 degrees. You sit there and the ice cube is still in front of you. Keep going, 29 degrees, 30 degrees, 31 degrees. Still nothing happens. Maybe it is time for you to give up and leave. Wait, it hits 32 degrees and the ice cube is suddenly melting. See, this 1 degree change that does not seem any significantly different just made a profound change to the status of the ice cube. This is what we call a breakthrough moment. This is what we will be relying on to repeat our habits day in and day out. As I have mentioned, this can work for you or against you. So let's first talk about what we're looking for, how this positively affects you. Let us say we're lifting, making an effort towards making money, and journaling day in and day out for years to come. Everyone's breakthrough moment is different, but let us just generalize this for the grand scheme of things. Let us say you're going months in on lifting weights. You feel like you're making very little progress, but nonetheless, months and months of building these habits begin to build up that breakthrough moment. Then after more lifting and more doubt, you come back for another session and wake up after a good sleep and breakfast. You notice your first bicep vein, your abs become visible, your frame gets better, and you get closer to building that upside down Dorito build. This works the same for all habits. Money eventually comes through repetition. Knowledge comes through reading. Mental clarity eventually comes through journaling. It just takes repetition for years on end. Now you're not escaping the scheme of life, but this can affect you positively. But as you've been aware of how you've done things wrong and how it can negatively impact you. Let's breeze through this quicker since you understand the life philosophy of the breakthrough moment. The drink you have today doesn't feel like anything, nor the one that you have tomorrow, the weeks after, months, years, up until you have that one night that you meet a woman that's more used than a toilet at a Taco Bell. You drink excessively, you end up having liver problems. You get rushed to the hospital, you black out, you might even end up dying. Same goes with smoking, drugs, and junk food, anything that can impact you negatively. There is no escaping this life philosophy. You either have it work for you or you don't. Using this chart from the book, you can see that you can improve yourself every day for a year and statistically get better at least 38% better than what you were last year. Or you can do things that could harm you and make yourself 1% worse every day and be 38% worse off than what you were the year before. See, it shows us here something that I briefly implied but that I did not directly mention. We believe our progress is linear, but in reality, it can either go up and down. This process can be an exponential one. Now that I've explained this on a huge portion of this video, I'm going to show you how legit it is through the implementation of several methods of developing a system to be able to repeat your habits day in and day out. Keep in mind I give these methods not under the expectation you just choose one, that you use all of them or at least most of them. Let us start with method 1. Start a habit list. Sit and think to yourself of all the habits that you want to do during the day. I'm not talking about lifting, journaling, reading, making money, all of that. No. I am predominantly talking about the basics. Waking up, brushing your teeth, having good sleep hygiene. You're probably puzzled, so I'll show you an image that you can reference on the screen. It's a solid habit list. Making this list is important in itself. For the good habits, you could put a plus sign. For the neutral neutral habits, you can make an equal sign. And for the bad habits, you can put a negative sign. You want to have more good habits than neutral habits or bad habits. Write these down whenever you think about it. Keep it with you at all times. Whether you're hanging it up on the wall, having a picture on your phone, whatever works for you. The second method is you consistently carry out habits at a specific time during the day where you perform a certain habit. For example, you go to the gym as soon as you get home from work at 3 p.m. Then when you get back from the gym, you read a book that you left on the kitchen counter for 15 minutes while your meal is getting ready. And once you finish, you go to your room and journal, and then work on making some money in some way we have described earlier in this video. This way, you're not only setting up times in the day that you do these habits, but you're actually stacking them on top of each other. You can apply a set time you do these habits and stack them with other minor ones, like making your bed, cleaning your bed, etc. The last method for making your habits easier to do is actually do things that make them easier to perform, such as I mentioned in method 2, if you're paying attention, having your book by the kitchen counter while you're waiting for your meal. That will not only make it easier for you to perform the habit, but you're stacking habits. You're making a proper meal, you're reading a book while you're waiting for the meal to finish. So instead of you going to your room waiting for the meal to finish, you end up reading. Same goes for when you're back from work. You prepare your gym bag and your gym clothes, so when you get back from work, going to the gym is a lot easier instead of you preparing the stuff and being tired and not end up going. As for journaling, you can have your journal by your laptop, your desk, so when you go to your room, you go straight there and you have to do what you need to do. Now, something I want to quickly add on that makes bad habits harder to do. You know the occasional slip-ups when you're on a streak of having good habits, of doing good habits? It is the opposite of what I described in method 3. Make those habits harder to do. For example, stash away your junk food where it's hard to reach without someone's help, or you need to do a lot to get to that area. Another example is unplug your video game console, put it in the closet, and make it so hard where it takes you a long time to just set it up. That way you won't play video games. Making the bad habits hard and good habits easy is the key component of having impactful habits form. Well everyone, this is it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. You can join my Discord in the top link down below, and I'll see you in the next video.